Okay, hello and welcome everyone in India and in UK. In India, it is good afternoon. I think you guys must have had your lunch and now in tune for something interesting. In UK, it is early in the morning. It is 11 o'clock, not early in the morning. You're starting with your day, and I hope we'll be able to get you something very interesting to know about life from the dear life coach, Wendy Prior. Earlier we came the duo came online. I introduced myself. Wendy was kind enough to know a lot about me, and today I want to know about her. So for the little bit that I know, I would be sharing this with the audience, and then it'll be over to you, Wendy. So Wendy is a personal change specialist and a creativity coach and intuitive business guide, and is based in UK. So so very, and I met her in a very interesting way. We met online, and everything that you see is happening online. So um she's coach, which I already mentioned. She does this through card reading. She's a holistic nutritionist, and she also does Reiki. She has done NLP as well, and astrology too. Wow, that's a lot. Wendy, I over to you. You need to explain about yourself. That's a lot of things that you do. So, who is Wendy Pryor?
Oh, it's so lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I think one of the things that I have done over the years, so I've been coaching women now for nearly 2 decades. I can't quite believe that. Um, and so when you've been doing this role as long as I have, you tend to collect tools and approaches and cutting edge, techniques along the way. And so I guess I started out in education. So I was a lecturer. So I'm did all the things that we're supposed to do, got myself educated to master's level in education, and started out with a very traditional career in the education sector lecturing in colleges. And then
Okay.
fast forward, fell pregnant, realized that my life was not going to be as easy to continue in the vein that I was in a full-time career with 2 little kids. So began to have a sort of look around, and long story short, became a coach. So took the people elements, I guess, of my job, and really fanned on that, because as a lecturer, yes, I enjoyed teaching, but what I really enjoyed was watching people succeed. So I guess I took that element, and I took that with me into coaching. So my first qualification, if you like, in that sector was straightforward coaching qualification, which gives you all the tools and techniques that you need to support somebody to be their best self. So that was great.
Be the
And
best
then
self.
yeah, to be your best self. So that was wonderful. And I really, really enjoyed becoming qualified in that way. And then one of the trainers at the school that I was invested in said, would you like to learn NLP, which, I don't know whether you guys know, but it stands for neuro linguistic programming. So it's very, very interesting modality that helps us to understand how we wire things in our brain. So I thought, okay, that's another great thing that I can use with my clients, to help them to really unpick what's going on in the way that we've stored information. And then it really just went on from there, because as I grew in my own journey of becoming all that I could be in life and doing the things that I really wanted to do, I myself tried all sorts of things, Reiki and equine guided leadership and astrology and soul retrieval and all these wonderful things that you can do, and gradually became well versed in holding that space for my clients as well. So I guess that's how come I have so many things to my name there.
True that. I mean, yeah, who says life is short? It's like you are living it to the fullest, and learning is like you're literally learning a new thing every other month, it seems. Yeah, that's what I was reading, like astrology, NLP, and then Reiki, and then nutritional. Like, yeah, you need all of these to be a coach, then you are really, really qualified to be a coach. So I remember the chit chat session that we were having some time back, and you mentioned it's your husband who said that you should be a coach. You will do really good at it. I mean, not many women would say, not many spouses would say that for their spouse, but I would love to hear that part of the story.
Mm. Yes, it was definitely a pivotal moment because there's a stage in your life, isn't there, where both the sides of the partnership, if you like, you're both very into your careers. You kind of pass each other like ships in the night. Sometimes, you might live in the same home, but sometimes it's hi, darling, how are you? And you just maybe grab a meal together now and then, but your paths don't cross that often. And he had decided that he wanted to go and explore. Potentially him becoming a coach. And there was a free weekend here in the UK where you could go and you could sign up to understand what this coaching school was all about. And you went along, you signed up, I think you paid for your meals, and then you were taken on this 2-day journey of exploring what the career of being a coach for somebody, a professional coach, would be. So we're going back, I don't know, 12 or 13 years now. And so my partner at the time, the father of my kids, he went off on this 2-day adventure. And he came back and he said to me, well, Wendy, I've realized that I definitely do not want to be a coach, but I need a coach. He said, my job now is to find myself a coach. But he said, Wendy, you would make an amazing coach. And so I said, really? Because obviously my path wasn't there yet. And I said, really? I said, well, you're really lit up by this experience you've had. And he said, Wendy, honestly, go along. He said, I think you would love it. And as they say, the rest is history.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
So I know you are more about coaching women.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's discuss what kind of women are drawn to work with you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, the reason why I work with women is because I am one. So some people say that's really sexist, like maybe you should work with men too. And, if a man particularly wants to work with me in this way, I'm very, very open to working with men. But, the way I look at it, that, I am a woman. And so I know what it's like to be a woman and to try and navigate the world on that basis. And so I work with women, and I work with women who are successful and professional, and they may well be entrepreneurial, but they're very heart-led in what they do. They want to be here for something bigger than themselves. They usually know that. They're very well-intended with the way that they work, or if they're finding themselves in a work situation where they feel out of alignment with their company, maybe they think their company is, perhaps not for the greater good. They want to perhaps start to work for themselves at some stage. That might be a dream of theirs, to work for themselves so that they can be more in alignment with this heart-led way. I would say as well that the women that I work with are, I call it spiritually curious. Do you know what I mean by that?
No,
So,
I would like you to explain that. This is interesting, spiritually curious. Yeah,
yeah.
explain,
So,
please.
for me, spiritually curious, it was a perfect term when I heard it to describe a woman who, it probably is educated to a high level, holds down a very, very important job, earns a great wage, is married in the mainstream, has kids. But I think that more and more, the world is opening up to alternative ways of doing things. So my spiritually curious woman probably loves to do card readings, for example. Maybe she owns a couple of decks, or maybe her friend owns a deck, and whenever she goes and has a coffee or a glass of wine, she says, let's play with the decks. Or like maybe she really loves having a tarot reading, or maybe going to a psychic medium perhaps, or an astrologer. So somebody who maybe has to feel that they have to keep that on the down low a little bit, maybe even because they fear that if they were to kind of talk about that in too much of an open capacity in their professional life, that they might feel that people would think that that was a little bit unusual.
So taking you on that, I know you do card deck reading. You create your own deck. Like I understand, I know tarot decks,
Mm-hmm.
but you create your own card deck, and that's what I was really, really fascinated about. So share something about that. What is that? I know it
Yeah.
will take another round of interview, but just as less words as you can, because I can't not have that conversation on this
Well, here
show.
we go. Here is my card deck here. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think you can see that.
Wisdom of change. Yeah, yeah, we can see wisdom of change.
Okay.
Interesting.
And so people know what card decks are, right? So they are,
Correct.
for me, a card deck is a way for us to access our inner wisdom, to access our inner knowing. So the
Hmm.
idea is that we would have a deck and we would be able to shuffle the deck, take a
Hmm.
card, and then that card would give us access to something that is perhaps just hidden slightly from the surface to us. So it's a way of us saying, okay, that's what's there. You know, that is a little into what might be going on for me. So I like to empower people around card deck readings. I don't like to see it when people give all their power to the reader and say, well, the reader must be magical or the reader must have special powers. Actually, what the reader does is she holds space for you to connect to your own inner wisdom. So the card pick is yours, even if the reader picks for you. The card deck is yours. The card is yours and designed to indicate something that is just perhaps slightly hidden from your view. It brings it to the surface. So
Beautiful. So, yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
yes, well, you were talking about how on earth did I end up, doing a card deck and then supporting others. I think there would be many women who, if they are interested in decks, they will know how magical they are. So the first time I pulled a card from a deck, I couldn't believe it. I was wowed by how accurate it was, how insightful it was, how helpful it was, and actually how reassuring it was as well, because I was like, okay, there's something here. And I remember thinking that this was a little bit magical. And somewhere deep in my soul, I thought, wouldn't it be amazing one day to have my own deck? So,
Wow.
fast forward maybe 10 years, I found myself in a situation supporting clients and realizing that I was having the same conversations with many, many women that I was running into, and that I was sharing the same hard-won wisdom with
Hmm.
everyone individually. And so I lit on this idea that maybe I could crystallize these nuggets of wisdom that I had found and shared and had been helpful for others, and actually capture those into a deck. And so I talk about that being, the wisdom being channeled from the collective consciousness, that kind of deep truth that we run into sometimes when we're maybe on Facebook and we read a quote and we think, oh, yeah, I love that. So it's kind of like that. But it was the hard won nuggets that I had gained over my journey of incrementally peeling back the layers and creating change for myself to become more of who I really am. And so the card deck was born.
Got
And
it. I
that's
think, yeah, we will have to take another session to understand about card deck, because these 20-25 minutes will not do justice. So I will stop you here so that I can have a better conversation on that. But I love the point that this card deck is something we do not need a reader to read it for us. We don't need to learn how to read it. It's just one can do it on its own. So that is very empowering. So that is where I see the shift, that you give the power to the person who you're coaching. So yes, that's how you empower them. So that's how you make us the best version of ourselves. So on to that note, what outcomes do you achieve with women who invest themselves through you?
Oh, that's a great question. And thank you. Yes, because my work is literally that. I mean, you've kind of coined it in a nutshell. It's about empowering the woman to become more of who she really is. And the outcomes that we get from empowering women to become more of who they really are as broad and diverse as the women themselves. So somebody said to me the other day, Wendy, you really support women widely and deeply in a very holistic way. And I thought, yes, that's true. So if you came to me and you worked with me, we may work on any number of things and you may get any number of outcomes. But here's a few of the sorts of outcomes that you could expect from working with me based on the last 20 years of me doing this work. Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
the sorts of things that people find that they get, even if they didn't necessarily come to me in the first place with that brief, is they will, for example, find the love of their life. Okay.
Ah,
So a
okay.
lot of women that
Yes,
come to me, there is,
very important.
yeah, it's a huge one. Okay. So lots of the women that come to me are either in a relationship they're not enjoying, going through divorce, just the other side of divorce, in a dating pool situation where they are beginning to wonder if they are ever going to find the man that's out there for them. So that would be one kind of group of women that I would get an outcome for. They may also wish to start their own business. So I get a lot of
Yeah,
women.
that's a huge one. The career change, especially to become an entrepreneur. I know what the feeling is, and a coach on that decision. Though when I started, I didn't check, but yeah, now that I know, I've dived into it. It's been 8 years. I would have thought of checking if I knew someone like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many women who are so successful in their career, in their corporate career. They have all the money, they have all, they have the status, they have the jobs, but they have what I call a sick soul. They just know that something isn't right, and they're very burnt out, and they've become very kind of pinched and like kind of they just don't feel like themselves. They're ready for expressing themselves in a different way in that professional capacity. So they come to me and they say, do you think it's possible that I could start my own business? Am I crazy, or is this something that I can do? So one of the outcomes I've achieved with people over the years on many occasions is that they start their own business. So that's one thing that you might get from working with me.
Right. So I'm glad you're putting it out so clearly and so easy to understand, because I think all these come from a bit of a fear, bit of insecurities that we have for so many things. But then, yeah, those are so we can manage with our fears in so many other areas. But these are something that, yes, we need someone to really guide us through. So glad, good. So now we know where and why to reach Wendy. No, but then I still have one question. Like, how would someone know that I know you gave great examples, but still, if you could just elaborate a little bit more, that how would one know that that women needs you right now, like being connecting with you is the right thing to do. So I'll explain my question a little bit more. I have fear, I have insecurity whether I should get into this relationship or not, etc., etc. But will you really help me? Because it's will you be able to help me? How would I know?
Well, I always say that choosing a coach is a very intuitive thing. So as I'm talking and as you're listening, there might be something about me or what I'm saying or something about my energy that you can't put your finger on, that you're just kind of like, I don't know why I need to contact this woman, but I do. There's just something about her and the way she speaks, or the what things that she says, that I just know in my soul that's I want to find out more. So that's one of the ways in which women know that they need to be coached, is that they might hear somebody and just get that feeling, I need to contact them. But in a more broad sense, the sorts of women that know they need to be coached, or who are ripe for coaching, if you like, that coaching would be a really supportive modality. Any number of things, again, but things like, for me, so I'll own for myself, I knew I needed to be coached when I was feeling overweight, unfit, unhappy, unwell. Okay. So on the surface of it, I looked like I was functioning, but actually I was kind of propping myself up with chocolate and coffee and, and like it looked like everything was great on the surface. I had a house and 2 beautiful kids and a partner and a job, but something inside of me was dying. Something didn't feel right. I didn't have time for me. I was anxious. It was very, very hard to spot, because though I was anxious on the inside, I was super competent on the outside and successful. Okay, so it's when the outside doesn't really correlate with how you're feeling on the inside. And it's like when you talk to your friends and people that you really trust and you really love, and you tell them how you feel, and they say, I don't really get it. I just see that you have a great life. Like, maybe you just need a holiday, so
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
it's that kind of feeling that you can't quite put your finger on it. For me, that is the kind of, they're the kind of reasons why you might need a coach, if you're worried, if you're circular thinking, if you're waking up in the middle of the night with panic, if the first thing that you think of in the morning is, oh my God, what am I doing? Anything that causes that panic response, and then but it all seems perfect on the surface. That's the kind of thing that I think is one of the sides. I mean, I could go on, but
Yeah. So from there, what I understand is when we are really struggling inside, we really try to make the outside even more beautiful, even more normal. So if you think it is very normal, hey, you are told as a superwoman and all of those things, then it's important to connect and have. What I understand is just have a conversation with you.
Mhm.
um, right, wrong, are you there for me? Will it work out or whatever I'm struggling with? Yes, no. So I like that thing that you have, the wise girlfriend.
Mhm.
So just yeah, so just having a conversation because whoever maybe I have had. So I'm just reiterating what you said. So um, if I'm trying to talk it out with a friend, she wouldn't really get it, or maybe she gets she doesn't know how to help me out,
Yes.
and she would say, "Yeah, okay, I know, it's all right."
Yes.
You really don't get a very good answer, or you try to talk it out with your colleague, you don't get a good answer. So then maybe it's where we know that just let's have a conversation with Wendy. Who knows? Her deck has an answer.
Yeah.
I'm really going to take you on that deck next time. So you will have to give me time on that because that is very interesting. I know we've done one quick reading, and that
Mhm.
was something that empowers me is something I'm always looking out to. So yeah, so I think that conversation is good. Is that I'm getting it right, Wendy? Just coming to for
Absolutely,
a conversation.
absolutely. I mean, investing in a coach is a big deal. You're going to really be bearing your soul. You're going to really need to feel like you can trust this person. You feel held by them. That the coach has enough bandwidth for you. So I work with very intelligent women. It's so important that you feel safe in the relationship. So with me, if you're looking to invest in one of my programs or in one of my online communities or to work one-to-one with me, it always starts with that conversation, which is we jump on a Zoom just like you and I are now, although obviously it's not live. And we dig deep. We just have a little look. We say, right, what is it that we have to pop on the table here? Let's just hear it. I will probably say, right, tell me why you want to chat to me. And it goes from there. Now, if I can't help you, it will probably be obvious. It'll feel wrong in your body. I will probably say maybe somebody else could help you. Like, for example, you might want to go and see a nutritionist, although I can support people with a nutritionist, but you might want to go and see a divorce lawyer or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I will help, and I will. My brief to myself for my discovery calls with people is that I leave you in a better place than I found you. So even if we don't go on to work together, we will have a great conversation. And my intention is to leave you more empowered or more at peace as a result of connecting with me.
Got it. So even if it doesn't click, you
Mhm.
know where to connect, guide us to because you have had so many experiences. So just, I would like to end the conversation with one thing. Give us an example of you don't have to name them, just
Mhm.
how you helped someone, or maybe one or two examples, as brief as you can. What were they going through? How did they end up benefiting, being with you? Something.
Yeah. Okay. Just one off the top of my head. So I was working with a lady who decided that she may like to sell her business. So very successful lady, award winning. She was in the finance sector, and she came to me and she said, I think that I would like to sell my business, and she was selling for a lot of money. So it was, a big deal. She was an entrepreneur, single, solopreneur. So just her, really. No other sounding board, that, a husband, but not really somebody that she could really strategize and talk this through. Now, this client in the finance sector obviously was using an awful lot of her logic and her logical mind. But what she was finding is when she was using her logical mind going through the sale, it was starting to feel really kind of crunchy and uncomfortable and stressful. And she just really wasn't enjoying the sale process. So I worked with her to really understand what the nature of this discontent was as we were going through. And we managed to unearth some really important things that made the sale so much more of a productive and enjoyable process for her and her clients. So she realized that when she dug into the fear that she was feeling and the constriction, that actually it's because she wanted to make sure her clients were being passed to the right new owner.
Correct.
And so she decided that she would take certain deals off the table and not deal with certain people because they were making her feel uncomfortable. And she ended up selling to the perfect company for the perfect amount of money because we went in underneath the fear and the pain and the stuff that was causing her concern to find what that reason was. So she ended up feeling really good about the sale. She had a sounding board throughout that process. She worked with me for a year because these bigger sales take a long time. And while we were working on the sale of her business, we were also designing her new life. We were saying, well, who are you the other side of this sale? And what do you want from your life? And where are you going? So we were able to future pace where she was heading, which meant that I'm sure the energy of that then pulled the sale through. She ended up selling the company and getting what she wanted for it. And then also then was ready for the next stage of her life, basically. So it was a wonderful journey.
Beautiful, like really beautiful. This is an amazing example. I mean, thank you for sharing. Now I have absolute clarity of what kind of people I can put you through. So they get the best of their life from their lives. Yeah. All
Absolutely.
right, Wendy. So we would continue this discussion in next Wednesday.
Mm.
And for all the people here, I would send you the invite and we will learn about Wendy's card deck. Usually we are not very sure of what we'll be discussing, but this time I know it'll be Wendy's card deck and we'll be spending 20-25 minutes on that. We are over 5 minutes of our time. But nevertheless, this was a very interesting conversation and it was beautiful to know you. And for
Oh,
all those who want to connect with Wendy, please, you could reach her on LinkedIn. What is the best way to reach you, Wendy?
well, my website is wendyprior.com. You can start there. You can send
Yeah.
me, a little message through my website. Basically, I think you've got my Hotmail account up there. Actually, that's great. You could contact me on the Hotmail account. There's also a link from my website to contact me by email. Whichever suits you, basically. Reach
Yeah.
out. And we'll be there at the other end.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And you could also message on this on my window, and I will put you in touch with her. So from there, yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, Wendy. See you soon.
Thank you. It's been so lovely chatting to you.
Same here. I am enlightened. Thank you. It's very interesting what you do.
Thank you, darling. Bye for now.
Bye.